Jason,
Cool.
it's wonderful to meet you, sir. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes, sir. So before we get into your work as an entrepreneur and a ministry leader, I want to know this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was completely changing all of our lives. Everything that we were doing got rearranged. How did you make it through the pandemic era, and how has that radiated into your world in 2025?
Yeah, there was a lot of change. So, one, a lot of prayer for myself,
Yeah.
but also we went as a company. I'm in direct sales with Cutco. It was all in person for what we knew for the whole time. And that's all I had known for about 15 years. And so, going transitioning to all virtual, it was very stressful, and it was a lot of relying on each other and what's working for you and how are you navigating this through the other managers in the company. And then also we had a child just January of 2020. So I really see it as a big blessing that I learned a lot about myself. I was able to learn a lot about the business, and now I'm able to work mainly virtual, which has been a huge blessing with my transition from Wisconsin to Washington recently. And then also it's helped me become a better dad, right? I feel like before that, I was so focused on work and so focused on constantly getting to the office and grinding it, and it's really opened up my eyes to being able to see my boys throughout the day, be able to have a little bit more flexibility and be able to really, focus on work when I can, but then also have family as a priority, faith as a priority, and it really just kind of changed things up. So coming from that, there's been so much fruit, Joe. But man, during that first year, there was so much stress. But now I look back and look at what a blessing it actually has been.
I would imagine having a child in January because it all happened in March. There was a period of you that just you had to slow down and you had to pull your focus. And that would be of all of the things that were uncertain at that time. I would imagine becoming a father at that point gave you that latitude to not have to worry about continuing to run as hard as you could. The slowing down of this earth
Mhm.
was probably a good thing, I would think.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And even just time with my wife and just time to change things up. I mean, it was a little scary, right, for all of us. But looking back, if that didn't happen, I don't know if I would have changed as much,
Yeah.
been as happy now.
Yeah. I always wonder if, like, you know, 15 years from now, when we look back on this, that there's going to be a generation of children that live through it that are going to become super scientists and come up with an antidote to prevent COVID from ever happening on the planet again.
Yeah.
Because no matter what happens, they have this malleable brain that's developing and they're feeling us. Kids are like animals. They feel more than they're going to take in that kind of talk and whatever. They're going to get our emotional level. And with it being so stressful, maybe that was a
Yeah.
good way of kind of, I don't know, innate, like presidents age quite a bit when they're in office. Maybe they were aging in a good way, emotionally and spiritually, because of what we were feeling,
Yeah.
you
Totally.
know? So it could definitely be that. So let me ask you this. Let's get to the brass tacks of what you do on a daily basis. And to do that, kids always pull the truth out of us. I'm going to put you in front of 12-year-olds at career day, and the kid in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer?
Yeah. Yeah. I teach people how to sell knives, essentially, is my day job.
Yeah.
And then on the side, I help people wake up to be happier and find Jesus. And I also help in ministry at church.
So, in the world of sales, what was the first big thing that you sold that you were like, I'm good at this? The
Man, I would say a decently sized $500 set after going 0 for 9 my first 9 days and feeling like a failure and almost quitting. I'd been good at sports, been good at the fundraising in the past, but when it came to this, it just wasn't clicking right away. So yeah, I totally, Joe. I almost quit twice, and
Yep.
finally, my friend's mom loved it and was like, "Yeah, I'll buy like 500." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I guess I can do this." So that was my first little little jolt of excitement and belief after being beat down for 9 days.
One of my favorite stories of like companies rising to the heights that they're at. The owner of FedEx, I think, was
Mhm.
down to his last amount of money as he was in a startup phase and went to Vegas and gambled and bet and made enough, and it worked out. It all like he
Wow.
was literally at the point where he was like, I'm putting it all in, and if
Yeah.
it's gonna work or it's not, and it all worked out. So
it's amazing how many of those stories there are out there, right?
Yeah.
And even Elon with SpaceX and just you think, I mean, Amazon, all of it's almost like when you really get to the down to the and Cutco was the same thing. There was a point where they had to go all in and like do some personal financing to make the company work. And not every, most great companies, when you really get down to it, I feel like there's some moment where there was a all in or nothing. This is either going to work or it's not, and they had to go all in and make it work. And it's very, yeah, inspiring when you hear those stories.
I remember the early clips of Jeff Bezos when he was like just the book guy and he would get on like
Yeah,
the Tonight Show or some late night show and the crowd would just be laughing about his business model and how he did profit sharing and all of that. And it's like, you
yeah,
talk about the last laugh.
I know.
He's
Mm,
had it for sure.
mhm.
It all sometimes it just takes a while. And it's just like us as humans. Sometimes we just have to be on the planet long enough to figure some things out, you know? Um, so let me ask you this. When you were 12 years old, you were in that seat in grade school. What was your dream gig? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Mm. It's hard to think back that far. I would say, yeah, I really don't remember.
Okay.
My dad was an electrician, so I probably wanted to work with him,
Yeah.
and then probably be something in sports, like a football player. I
Yeah.
would say, yeah,
So Packers, big Packers fan?
huge Packers fan,
Okay. And they got an interesting business model because the season ticket holders are shareholders.
right? It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
But
Yeah,
so where is Lambeau? Is it like in a neighborhood, kind of like Wrigley in Boston?
totally. Yeah,
Okay.
so it is right in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful area, but it's literally like the area of Titletown, they call it, and Lambeau Field. And they have a lot of events there, and there's a park and fun place I take my boys as well. But yeah, we lived 10 minutes away from there, and you drive in, it's just neighborhood, 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 a big Cabela's right there too. But it's just a normal little neighborhood area, and then bam, Lambo's right there.
That's
It's
it.
very, very unique. It's a very, very special place.
So have you seen a lot of games there?
A handful. Mhm.
Yeah. So what's it like? Is it just like over the top energy?
Yeah, and it's just the camaraderie, the feel. You can feel the spirit. Like you hear that from places, but really, like, you can feel it, and then just because everyone is just the average, they're walking from their homes to the game and how in like the barbecues beforehand and the cookouts and you're meeting all these new people and they're like, yeah, come over, hang out with us, and it's just a fun time. The spirit, the energy, and then just being in there is just it's real special.
Arrowhead's like that. Like we go crazy
Hmm.
for the games and there's nothing bandwagon. I grew up going to training camp watching this and it wasn't till St. Mahomes came in on his magic horse
Yep.
that this whole thing and it's one player that can turn everything
Mhm.
around fast. But
Mhm.
we went through a long time where it was like always the field goal would go just to the right or left of the upright. So
Mhm.
when's the last time Green Bay won the Super Bowl? Do you remember?
I think it was like 10 years ago, the
Okay.
Rodgers and Matthews.
Okay. Okay. I was just curious. It seemed like I couldn't
Yeah,
localize it in
it's
my
been a
head.
little while. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's hope this year.
You're due. That's the thing. You're due. And the Brewers, they're looking pretty special. So I
Yeah.
just love, coming because I've been to all the parades here in Kansas City. Like
Hmm.
and even the Royals had their heyday in 14, 15. It's so good that when you win a championship and the city comes together, it's like all the political lines, all the divisive things that
Yep.
happen in our modern world completely go away and you just come
Mhm.
together, you know?
Yep.
It's
I
such a
love
cool
that.
thing. So when cities going to do that. So let me ask you this. Who's been that hero for you? Who's been that inspirational force for you to find your footing and your voice and where you belong?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go to Jesus for me, and being
Okay.
a Jesus guy. When I think about an ultimate leader, an ultimate, human when he was here, um, it's just and the more you learn, and even like with The Chosen, I don't know if you've seen any of those episodes,
Yeah.
but bringing it to life, it's so cool to see and to imagine, in those moments what it would have been like to follow him. And so that's like, my go-to. But I'd say there's just, like we were talking before, the inspirational stories, like so besides Jesus, it's been just there's so many athletes and so many I can't think of one specifically because there's just been so many, either podcasts or books or stories you hear, like, Abraham Lincoln failing over and over and over again until he became one of the greatest presidents ever. It's like, man, there's just so much inspiration and so many people to pull from that have paved the way and overcome the unthinkable, to give me motivation in things.
So let me ask you this, as kind of a sales guru and entrepreneur, what's the
Yeah.
best advice you've ever gotten?
I'd say never give up. I'd say that is probably I mean, there's so many again, but I'd say never give up. You'll figure it out. Success leaves clues. So whatever industry you're in, whatever you're pursuing, there is a role model who is doing it at a high level, or many, or a program or a system to follow. You just have to follow the proven systems and then not give up. And then kind of with that is then to be courageous, because you're going to have a lot of fear. You're going to have a lot of doubt. Sales isn't easy. Business isn't easy. Startups are hard. So you need to have that courage and that empowering future as well, that you are excited about, that keeps you going, because it can be a tough grind if you're focused on the daily. But when you don't worry about all the naysayers or the fear, and you have that vision and you just keep going, you'll figure it out. It might take a little bit longer
Yeah.
than you want, or usually does.
Yeah.
Takes longer, but you'll figure it out.
So you had talked about selling that knife set, the
Mhm.
big one, that it was a
Yeah.
bit $500. What was the first big purchase that you made in your life that got your heart pounding? You're like, wow, that was a lot of money. I can't believe I did it, but you absolutely loved it.
Hmm. Yeah. I would say got an Acura TL
Yeah.
when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I'd say with Cutco and in sales, our struggle as salespeople is you start thinking about, like, can I afford it or not? You start thinking about, what do I have to sell this next week to be able to afford what I already purchased. And so for me, it wasn't as scary. I had some bonuses, as well as I just believed I was going to sell more. No plan, right? No actual momentum created that. Just my head of thinking, okay, I just have to work a little bit harder, as if I wasn't already going to. But I'd say that was a little scary because that was a big purchase. But yeah, I've definitely had getting married and having kids had to be a little bit more reserved in always thinking I can just sell my way out of this or sell my way into this, and thinking about, okay, what is our budget? What is realistic based on past for these weeks or months of sales, instead of thinking, oh, I'll just have a massive week next week and it'll be fine.
Yeah. So let
Mhm.
me ask you this. On your spiritual path, did you grow up
Yeah.
in the church or did you have a moment? How did you come to this
Ooh.
place?
Multiple things. So first of all, I did grow up, Joe, in church, but it was more of my family's faith. I was a believer. I believed in God. I was doing it more for my family, and then I kind of believed, but I didn't really make it my own. So I was raised in a nice Christian home. We're non-denominational, and then college happened. One foot in the world, one foot out. A lot of partying, a lot of fun. I found business, and so that was my drug, was business and accomplishing and accolades. So my 20s was for sure a lot of fun, pursuing my own kingdom. And that kind of went on for about a decade. And then I had a moment where I almost got married to a very fun, awesome girl, but she wasn't aligned with me in my faith and my future dreams. And so as I got closer to the wedding, a big moment, Joe, is I had to call it off
Wow.
2 months before.
Wow.
Everything was set,
Wow.
invites were out, everything. It was really, really tough. But it was a moment where I realized, wow, over this last decade, just one little degree, one little bit every day, I was just coasting, and I was getting more comfortable with not pursuing my faith and what I really wanted. So that was a big wake up moment. And then I dove in for that next year to morning routines, to church again. And then in my 30s, the big moment was then switching from building my kingdom to building his kingdom.
Yeah.
And instead of being my income, my wealth, my accolades, my titles, that how can I get my worth more in Christ and get my worth more in serving and my worth more in pursuing all of that? instead of my own kingdom. So I stopped drinking and having gummies. I stopped. What else? Yeah, I mean, I had a big wake up moment really just the last probably 3 or 4 years. I cleansed myself of some bad habits. I got rebaptized, and I'd say it really became my own faith, Joe. I would say when I called off that weddings before, I was kind of like a Sunday Christian,
Yeah.
and it was God was there, but he wasn't walking. I wasn't walking with him daily. It wasn't a pursuit daily. It was cool. He's important. I'll show up on Sunday, get filled up, then go back to my own life. And then yeah, then another wake up call like 3 or 4 years ago. And then now we're in Washington helping start up a church that
Nice.
we're called to.
So let me ask you this. If you were to have a dream tonight, run into the 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived, the wisdom you've gained, what
Yeah.
advice would you give that young version of you?
I would say keep working hard, but make sure your priorities are straight. Keep God number one and know that your platform, your title, your net worth is not going to be a long lasting pursuit that's going to keep you joyful and at peace. That, hey, keep working hard, keep driving it, but you're going to burn out, and this is not going to be a long lasting fulfillment if you pursue these as your drivers and your focuses.
So let's say you walk into a room of everybody that knows you in a sales sense, in
Mm-hmm.
a professional sense, and you could go up into that room of people, colleagues, clients, everyone that you've known, and you could tell them a fun story, maybe a cool place you traveled to, maybe jumping out of an airplane, the best sporting event you went to, a first concert you saw, just a fun story. What would you tell that room of people?
Mm-hmm. Wow. So, and this is a fun story of what? Just in life?
Yeah, just in life, just things that might humanize you a little bit. Maybe they wouldn't have realized that about you because you're coming in a professional
Yeah.
sense. Just something that would kind of bring things to kind of more of a base level.
Yeah. Um, hmm. I would say, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of appropriate ones as well. I had a lot of fun in my 20s. We
Yeah,
we took a lot of trips as a company,
yeah.
as well. Um, Man, I can't think of necessarily like a fun story. I can
Okay.
think of some interesting stories. I can think of even some troubled stories, even in the past as well.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I would say let's try to think where to go on the story. Um, hmm, hmm, yeah, nothing's coming to me.
How about this? Let's do this. Of everything that you've done,
Yeah,
all everything that you've accomplished and evolved to at this point in your life, what are you the proudest of?
yeah. So being a father. For
Yeah.
sure. I'd be, being a father. I mean, right now we have a 3 year old and a 5 year old. I love being a dad, and I love seeing them grow. And again, a lot of funny stories there as well, but there's just, man, it brings you so much joy and so much happiness. Also, it's helping work on my heart. I'm a recovering workaholic, a recovering um, person who lacks empathy. And so being able to see that love and just feel that with them has been so cool. Also, just for me in faith perspective, like I thought I knew what love was. And I really thought, obviously I love my wife and love God and that, but really like thinking about, wow, I love my boys this much. And to think like, wow, God loves me this much as well. This is powerful. And so, um, yeah, I'd say most proud of being a dad so far, and then seeing what happens as the arrows of them get shot out to the world in 10 to 20 years. I'm excited to see what happens with them.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, everyone you work with, everybody that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah. I'd say I'm a fun-loving, easygoing guy, full of integrity. Really love bringing the best out in people and really wanting to see them succeed and encouraging, coaching, challenging. Really being someone who's just going to, when someone is around me, someone meets me, they're going to be better because of it. And it might not always be me, but maybe a little hint or a little Jesus through me that really helps them believe in themselves more and helps them live a better life.
So what's the best thing about living in Seattle, and what do you miss the most about Wisconsin?
So it's been 2 weeks.
Okay.
We live in the suburbs, probably 40 minutes east of Seattle. I love the lush green. I love just the mountains, the scenery. It is really unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now it is summertime. We haven't hit all the rain yet and some of the gloominess, but um, yeah, I love all of that. Wisconsin can be kind of flat where we are at, but um, summer is great in Wisconsin. Love that. Really don't enjoy the snow too much. It's a little too cold, but yeah, that's what I'm liking so much in the 2 weeks we've been here so far.
Excellent. So if anyone wants to reach out, they want to get involved with the good work you're doing, any of the good business, where do they go?
Yeah. So for what I do, so my passion project right now, Joe, it's wakeupjesuspeople.com. And so over the last 20 years, God's been working on me. And as you kind of heard in my story a little bit, there's been a lot of moments that have brought me to this point where I feel like I'm just sick of building my own kingdom. I'm sick of chasing my own accolades. I'm sick of trying to build the Jason show. And I'm excited just to surrender, hands open, let's go, God, what is next for your plan in my life? And so Wake Up Jesus People is the site. There's a book, Wake Up Jesus People,
Yes.
Life-Giving Disciplines to Awaken the Warrior Within. It's really a lot about morning routines, a lot about starting your day off right, having evening routines, a lot of the best practices that Jesus people really do. And it's really trying to unite Jesus people, right? We all, based on what denomination you are or your upbringing, hey, how about we focus on the 70, 80, 90% we can agree upon that's most important and
Yeah.
not worry about all these different rules and regulations and differences? Why don't we unite as Jesus people and warrior up? So that I have a tool called, well, it's a journal, Wake Up Jesus People journal. Then I have a challenge called the 40 Forge Challenge. It's basically like a Jesus version of 75 Hard, and it's a 40-day challenge to really get people leveled up personally, mentally, physically, and most importantly, spiritually. So all that can be found at wakeupjesuspeople.com, and there's a lot more that goes into each of those, but that's where I'd say to go and visit.
Okay, I will put that in the show notes. Jason, this has been absolutely great. Thank you so much. Best of luck. Enjoy Seattle. I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Thank you.